Rebecca Rowland's mother. She was taken to a skilled nursing facility yesterday, and she's doing a lot better than they anticipated. So thank you for your prayers for that family. And this morning, I'm with you this morning because when we were looking for preachers, we came across Benjamin. We decided as an eldership that every quarter you would hear from one of us. Guess whose turn it is? Okay. Yesterday, many of you and many others, men and women, hit the woods in Orange, not rooting for the Scrappers. A tradition. Many families have traditions of deer camping. Our family, however, is different. We have squirrel camp. We get together on the 1st October Saturday and of every year. We all come together. We get around the fire, weather permitting, if it's not too dry, and if there's a burn ban. We get around the fire, relive stories, tell new stories, and introduce a new generation to the woods. We meet at a cabin that was built in the mid-40s on the Saline River. I have found over the years that probably one of the most important pieces of equipment at squirrel camp comes after dark, and it's a flashlight. A flashlight is very important when you're out in the strange woods and you're trying to find your way, because no matter how big you are, no matter if you're male or female, it gives you the power over darkness. It allows you to see your way. Now, before many of you smirk and you don't go out in the woods, I bet you some of you out there have night lights in your house. I don't know about y'all, but I do. Lived in my house for over 20 years. I do not negotiate the halls, and Mandy moves that coffee table all the time if I don't have a night light on. But I find it most of the time with my knee or my toe or my ankle. And light is very, very important. In Genesis, 1st chapter, 1st through 3rd verse, it says God created the heavens and the earth. The third thing He created was light. Now, if you'll notice, God didn't create the firmament with the sun and the moon and the stars until the 4th day. But He created light first. Well, third in creation. We, as humans, only see this works. Yay! I'm coming into technology. Kicking and screaming. As you can see, I hope you can see, this is the electromagnetic resonance spectrum. Now, it starts all the way at radio waves and goes all the way to gamma waves. We only see a very, very small portion. As you can see, it's marked. Every teacher out there has taught the color spectrum. And you know how to mix and match colors in different combinations to give you what you need. You know, sometimes in life, we take our limited knowledge and we think we've got everything together. We think we know everything we need, when maybe there's a full spectrum that we're not aware of. But as you get older, you understand how limited your knowledge is, and that you better try to catch up because your time is running out. You know, sometimes we think because we see something that we see the entire picture. But if you will consider an iceberg, if you look at an iceberg, then about 20% is visible, 80% is underwater. So sometimes that you see, what you see is different in your mind's eye compared to what the whole object is. I would like to suggest this morning that we have visible light and we have divine light. God's responsible for both. Let's see if this works. Okay, maybe I'm not good. Okay. I would like to suggest that divine light has properties. Now, these are just some of the properties that I've come up with, but bear with me and maybe you'll get something. I know I've gotten something out of it. The first thing is our enlightenment. In 2 Corinthians 4 through 6, it says, let light shine out of the darkness. He made his light shine in our hearts to give us light of knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ. We are enlightened. I don't know how many of y'all have been in a math class. Lester has had a lesson over the Pythagorean theorem. When you know what a squared plus b squared will get you c squared. When you can take one of these iPads and actually email somebody, you have an aha moment. When we understand that Jesus, what he did for us, not because we deserved it, but he did it for us, gave us a way to be with him in eternity, that's an aha moment. That is the light that I'm talking about. That is our enlightenment. Now, I want to suggest that our second property is our environment. In 1 Peter 2:9, it says, But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of the darkness into his wonderful light. We were called. I don't know how many of y'all have waited on a call anxiously. Maybe a call about a medical test. Maybe a call, is my kid, did they make it back from the trip? Maybe a call, did you get into optometry school? All of these calls are life-changing. But none is more life-changing than the call that we have before us. And in 2 Peter 1 and 3, it says, His divine power has given us everything we need for a godly life through our knowledge of Him who called us by His glory and goodness. So, we have everything that we need. We also, one of the properties of light is a power source. In Ephesians 5:8 through 9, it says, But you were once in darkness. Now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of the light. For the fruit of light consists of all goodness, righteousness, and truth. We were darkness, now we are light. Ephesians 3:16 says, I pray that out of His glorious riches He may strengthen you with power through the Spirit in your inner being. We have enough power available to us as children of the light that we ought to leave the ever-ready bunny in our dust. This morning I'd like to suggest to you that that one of the properties of light, of divine light, compared to practical light, is our employment. In Matthew 5:15, it says, "Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house." You know, some days you don't feel too bright. And I don't mean intellectually, you just don't seem to have everything going. You just don't feel so good. It may be stress. It may be what life has thrown you, answers to questions that you can't seem to find. But whatever those problems are, we as children of the light need to be aware of our brothers and sisters. And it's our responsibility to get their lights back on. That is our employment. We are instructed to be people of light since we were invited into the light, into the kingdom of light. I'd like to also suggest that one of the properties is our enjoyment. But if we, in 1 John 1-7, it says, "But if we walk in the light, as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus, his Son, purifies us from all sin." I don't know if any of y'all, well, I know a lot of y'all, were at the great giveaway. It was on a sort of a misty, cool, I don't know if this is a word, but it's sort of a dank day. But there was no darkness in that whole place. It was amazing. The whole place was filled with light. And that was our enjoyment. The people came, they got everything they could and what they needed, but I feel like that we got more than we gave. I hope that as a church that we will continue this ministry for years to come. I'm sorry, but our bodies are over 90% water and about 8% is coming out of my eyes. Also, one of the properties I'd like to suggest that Divine Light has is our equipment. In Romans 13:12, it says, "The night's nearly over. The day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light." I don't know how many of y'all have ever started a job and didn't have the right equipment. I recently put in a water closet in my house this day before yesterday. 1 hour job turned into 6 hours. Only filled the bathroom with water 3 times. Benjamin, since he's not here, and can tell you about approaching a job without the right equipment. When you try to put a fence in clay ground that's been in a 2-year drought, and 2 of his brothers came to his rescue and helped him with the right equipment, Kevin and Hugh, and with the right equipment, they were able to get their job done and put the fence in. In Romans 8:31 says, "If God is for us, who can be against us? Giving joyful thanks to the Father who has qualified you to share in an inheritance of his holy people of the kingdom of light." Sorry, that's in our inheritance. Let me do that again. The next property I'd like to suggest is our inheritance. In Colossians 1:12 it says, "Give joyful thanks to the Father who's qualified you to share in the inheritance of his people in the kingdom of light." Ephesians 1:18 says, "I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened in order that you may know the hope to which he has called you, the riches of his glorious inheritance of his holy people." You know, this morning, I've shown you the properties of divine light and that's not all of them. That's just some I could come up with. And we have, in comparison, the spectral light, which you can see, we don't use very much of that spectral light, but with that little limited knowledge or light use, we get to see the grandeur of everything God has created. We get to see colors, sunrises, sunsets, babies being born, and all in color. You're not colorblind. But the two threads that these two lights have in common, divine light, spectral light, visible light, if you will, two things. One is God, because both wouldn't exist without God. And the second is energy. And you have to have energy to do either one. So, if today you find that your light's dull, or you find you haven't found the light, and you would like to find the light, we would love to help you with that. If, for some reason, you don't want to make a public walk of the aisle, that's okay. See me or one of the other elders or either of any of your brothers and sisters, and let's find out what the problem is, and let's shine the light on it. One thing we don't want to do is we don't want anybody in darkness. You will stand and we'll sing.